It is 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. Darrell, would you lead us in the Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first order of business is approval of minutes of a number of different work sessions and meetings, starting with the budget work session minutes of January 13, 2011. Is that January?
I move that we approve the budget work session meetings from January 13th, 2011.
Second.
Okay. It has been moved by Darrell, seconded by Charlie, that those minutes be approved. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I will abstain.
Thank you. Those minutes are approved. Next, we have the Safety Building Review Meeting minutes of January 20, 2011.
I move that we approve the January 20th Safety Building Review meeting minutes.
Second.
It's been moved by Darrell, seconded by Charlie, that those minutes be approved. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Again, I will abstain, although I will, for the record, point out that I did watch the meeting on TV.
Thank you, Ray. Those minutes are approved. Moving on to the January 24, 2011 minutes.
I move that we approve the January 24th Select Board meeting minutes.
Second.
Been moved by Darrell, seconded by Butch. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
Well,
Oh, he's not going to abstain.
hold on one second on this. My recollection. I'll abstain for now, but I would ask that we double check that. My recollection is that I was present for that session.
Okay, could you check on that?
I can, yep. I was just looking at the work session minutes, and I also did not include Ray for that night.
Yeah, they've got the work session, Ray, for the same date, and
Pretty comfortable I was there. Especially looking at the... But again, I'll leave that subject to check.
Okay.
all right. Moving on to the January 24, 2011 work session minutes.
I move that we approve the January 24th work session minutes.
Second.
Been moved by Darrell, seconded by Butch, that the January 24, 2011 minutes be approved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One conditional abstention.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to the January 27, 2011 budget hearing minutes.
I move that we approve the January 27th budget hearing minutes.
Second.
It's been moved by Darrell, seconded by Charlie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those minutes are approved. And moving on to the January 31, 2011 work session minutes.
I move that we approve the January 31st work session minutes.
I'll second.
Moved by Darrell, seconded by Ray. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those minutes are approved. Moving on to the February 3, 2011 public hearing for petitioned warrant articles and public safety buildings.
I'll move that they be accepted.
Second.
Been moved by Ray and seconded by Butch. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And Darrell abstains. Moving on now to the February 7, 2011 work session minutes.
I'll move they be accepted as presented.
Second.
Moved by Ray, seconded by Darrell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Those minutes are approved. And finally, we have the February 7, 2011 public hearing, public safety building minutes.
I move the minutes of the public safety building hearing be approved February 7th.
Second.
Moved by Charlie, seconded by Darrell. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those minutes are approved. Announcements. The Select Board will meet on the following dates. Regular meetings at 6 p.m. on Monday, February 28, 2011, and March 14, 2011. There will be work review sessions prior to the regular meetings starting at 5 p.m. All of the above meetings will be held in the Town Hall unless otherwise posted. The annual meeting for the Plymouth Elementary School will be held on March 7, 2011 at 7 p.m. at the elementary school. That is a Monday. Town elections will be held on Tuesday, March 8, 2011 at the Plymouth Elementary School from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The annual town meeting will be held on March 9, 2011, that's Wednesday, at 7 p.m. at the elementary school. The annual Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District meeting will be held on March 10, 2011, at 7 p.m. at the Plymouth Elementary School in the multipurpose room. Town offices will be closed on Monday, February 21st, 2011, in observance of President's Day. Weather observations for the month of January are available in the Town Hall. And under updates, Candidates Night 2011, sponsored by Plymouth State University and the Plymouth Regional Chamber of Commerce, will be held on Tuesday, March 1st, 2011 at 6:30 p.m. and that will be in the Smith Recital Hall at the Silver Center at PSU. We certainly hope to see a big turnout for this important event. Questions for the candidates will be collected starting Monday, February 21st at the Town Hall and at the Chamber of Commerce office. Additional locations for collection locations may be announced. Questions can be in any format, but should include the asker's name, address, and either phone number or email address, so you can be contacted for any clarification that may be necessary for questions you submit. And John Roy has graciously agreed to be our moderator for the Candidates Night again this year. Charlie? You've got the gate open.
The gate between Boulder Point and the Walmart parking lot, the board has heard recommendations from the town planner that it be opened
to vehicular traffic. There are some issues with a stop sign and I guess a center line, but it can be opened at this point. I guess we'll just
Soon as-
advise Walmart.
Yeah, I think the stop signs have to be installed before
Yeah.
we can,
What is it, about 40, no, it's not even that, 30 feet between the two?
Yeah.
Walmart's been, because I'm a regular customer up there at the pharmacy, there seems to be some serious interest in getting the job done. They've been all over me for the last couple of months. And this will be well received.
great. Visitors, Madeline McElhaney has some update for us on the Better Buildings Project.
I brought a brief PowerPoint presentation and a couple of handouts. And based on past technical difficulties, I came early to make sure that this worked. Alert. While that's warming up, one of the things that I promised to do as follow-up from my last visit to you was distribute a draft budget for some marketing money that's coming from the Plymouth Better Buildings program. So I have plenty of copies for that. Oh, it's working. This is good. All right. So my name is Madeline McElhaney. I am the community manager for the Plymouth Better Buildings program. Better Buildings program is the part of a brainchild of the Energy Efficiency and Sustainable Energy Board, part of the Beacon Communities concept, where they wanted to hyper-invest in community resources to create model and replicable examples of sustainability. The Better Buildings Project is the result of a competitive grant program that became available through the Department of Energy. And the people who were applying to the grant asked Community Development Finance Authority, who is my employer, to participate in the grant. Other people and entities that are participating in this project, Office of Energy and Planning, Community Development Finance Authority, the Jordan Institute, the Governor's Office, the utilities, Public Service of New Hampshire, New Hampshire Electric Co-op, New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, the Community Loan Fund, and Berlin, Nashua, and Plymouth. Just a quick slide on where energy is used in New Hampshire to give you some background on why we chose buildings. The black numbers in each category are the national averages. The red numbers are what we use in New Hampshire. So 59% of energy in New Hampshire is used in buildings, and of that 50%, a little more than half is used in commercial buildings, 47% in residential buildings. And as an aside, 87% of what is heating New Hampshire is fossil fuel, and none of that is sourced here in New Hampshire. So it's all money from New Hampshire being spent to bring that from outside states and countries. This is the price of oil. It's all over the place. And actually, there was a 520% increase in the price of oil in 9 years, almost 160% in 1 year. Another year, there was another 160%. $6.22 a gallon at one point. Nothing's really changed, and heating oil keeps going up. So, based on all of that, we applied for a grant. New Hampshire received $10 million in funding from the Department of Energy for the Better Buildings program, basically using public dollars to leverage private capital. In these 3 communities or towns, there's effort supported with state resources. We're looking for deep energy improvements, hopefully over at least or more than 30% gain in efficiency in buildings in these 3 towns. Multiple building sectors are part of this project: residential, commercial, municipal, and we're concentrating our efforts and services to a confined area, in this case in Plymouth, Nashua, and Berlin. We're using New Hampshire businesses, and we're working to complement rather than compete with existing resources. We're working with local banks to provide financing products, and we're working with local contractors and auditors to provide the services to get these buildings more energy efficient. Part of this project, big part of this project, is looking at how we finance energy efficiency improvements. We're using some of our grant money to provide private lending through local banks and credit unions. We're spending money to create a loan loss reserve fund. If someone in Plymouth wants to take out a loan, we're buying down that interest rate to 1% on the residential side, and we're providing the bank with a loan loss reserve fund to lessen the risk for the bank. Banks historically have been nervous about lending for energy efficiency improvements because it's an unsecured loan. You can't take insulation out of a building if no one pays the loan. So we're helping to ease that burden a little bit. We're also providing some additional motivation towards the beginning of the program. If somebody is interested in getting an energy audit to start the road to energy efficiency improvements, February, March, April, and May, we're using grant money to pay for a portion of the audit. And then if the home or business owner moves forward with the recommendations for energy efficiency, then we'll kick in a little extra. On the residential side, we're paying for $250 of the audit cost. And then if the homeowner moves forward with a project that results in energy savings of 30% or more, we'll give them an additional $750 towards the cost of those measures. And then it's scaled down. If the homeowner moves forward with 20 to 30% energy savings, we'll give them $500. If the homeowner moves forward with 15 to 20% savings, we'll give them $250. And that's in a form of a rebate. So spend the money, give us the receipt, we'll give you your money back. On the commercial side, Better Buildings will pay for 25% of the energy audit cost. And then if the building owner moves forward with a project that projects at least 15% energy savings, then Better Buildings would cover an additional 25% of the audit cost. The total Better Buildings investment wouldn't exceed $5,000, so up to $5,000 on the commercial side. We're also looking at partnerships and mechanisms to serve the low-income populations, and working closely with utilities to utilize things like on-bill financing. In the couple of months that I've been on this job, I've been really trying to study up on the different programs that already exist that relate to energy efficiency in buildings. I met with the New Hampshire Electric Co-op to talk about how our programs would work together, and we're also available to explain things like technology rebates, the retail merchants efficiency program, things with the low-income weatherization programs. If someone were to come in and see me in my office, I would look for grants, incentives, tax rebates before I started talking about a loan. That way, if there's free money, we can take advantage of that first so that we can provide that leveraging. As far as the scale of the project that we're looking at, we have a pretty aggressive goal. This program runs until May of 2013, and in the next 2.5 years, we're hoping, we have a goal submitted to the Department of Energy to make 399 buildings in the town of Plymouth more energy efficient during that time. And we're using an average cost of $12,000 in a residential home or in a residential building, and about $150,000 on the commercial side. Those numbers are not the out-of-pocket expense, that's the overall cost of the project. Some of the potential measures that our program will finance: lighting upgrades, appliance upgrades, insulation and air sealing, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, windows. On the commercial side, energy management. And if we do any industrial projects, maybe not as many in Plymouth, heat recovery, compressed air. Also, things like pellet boilers, solar hot water, and combined heat and power. The process to participate in this project: the first step would be to make an appointment with me, and my contact information is towards the end of this presentation. We'd set you up with a building auditor to take a look at your structure and kind of get an overview of how it's currently working. We'd look at what measures can we do to improve the structure, and we'd provide some inspections and some quality assurance along the way. Residents and business owners can choose their own contractors and auditors. We're asking for contractors and energy auditors to apply to the Better Buildings program to participate, and then we're giving that list to whoever comes into the offices to choose from. And the goal is to build up the local workforce and set some standards that can be used across the bar. And again, we will provide monitoring and verification. This is federal money, so we have a lot of reporting requirements, and the Department of Energy really wants to see that their money is well spent and we're making it work here in our town. So in order to make sure that we're actually doing good things with this money, we'll follow up for you and keep an eye on the whole process. Residential auditor qualifications, and I'll go through this fairly quickly, but you'll have these slides if you want to review them at a later time. Basically, in order for an auditor to be a Better Buildings Project auditor, we want them to have at least 1 year experience or related experience auditing. We want them to have at least 10 building audits using a blower door as part of the analysis. And if they don't meet those requirements, we have a mentoring program that's part of the Better Buildings program to provide something of an on-ramp to, again, build up the local workforce. Being a Plymouth resident, my goal is to have this program improve the quality of life here in Plymouth so that when Better Buildings is not going on anymore, when my office is closed up and I have to find a new job, then we'll be better off for having this program here. We have similar requirements on the contractor side. We want them to have at least 2 years general building experience or 1 year of energy-related building improvement experience and have completed a minimum of 10 energy-related projects. And again, if they don't have those things, then we'll find a way to like another on-ramp to help build up the skill set. We'll provide some trainings over the next 2 years, and in the budget that I handed out to everyone, there's some money set aside for scholarships for the local workforce so that it's not an added cost. And I forgot where this slide was. This is good. So we have $200,000 to spend over the next 2.5 years as marketing and outreach and training. Plymouth, the New Hampshire Office of Energy and Planning, and Community Development Finance Authority will work together to administer those funds. I'm missing a slide in here, but I have the paper firm. One thing that I promised to follow up on was to come up with a scenario for administering that $200,000 that doesn't provide additional workload or create additional workload for the Plymouth Town employees. The scenario that we're working on and was just given the green light by the Office of Energy and Planning is basically Community Development Finance Authority could secure and pay whatever vendors are necessary for implementing the Plymouth marketing plan, as outlined before you. Community Development Finance Authority would bill the town of Plymouth on a regular basis for the dollars spent during that previous month or quarter, or however we set up the time frame. We would charge a 5% admin fee for doing the work, and that 5% admin fee would come from the miscellaneous at the bottom of this budget. Plymouth would then bill Office of Energy and Planning. The Office of Energy and Planning would reimburse Plymouth, and then Plymouth would pay Community Development Finance Authority. The reason for all of that is because Plymouth didn't automatically get energy efficiency and block grant funding from the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act. This money, this Better Buildings money, is also from the Recovery Act, and it requires that a certain portion go through Plymouth first. And that was the reason for the contract between Plymouth and the Office of Energy and Planning for $465,000. The $200,000 was included in that umbrella. So this money does have to hit the town books before it goes back. But Community Development Finance Authority can do the legwork and pay the vendors, so that the only thing that Plymouth has to do is bill Office of Energy and Planning. Well, CDFA bills Plymouth. Plymouth bills the Office of Energy and Planning, gets money from the Office of Energy and Planning, and then pays Community Development Finance Authority.
And that money is the $200,000 that you've got essentially budgeted out for now until May of 2013.
Correct.
So the total amount in a given year is unlikely to be enough to push us over the requirement for an extra audit.
Right. It's $200,000 spread out over the course of 2.5 years. One more thing that I wanted to mention, and I don't know where my slide ended up, but the Better Buildings hired Craig Cadger to be our part-time technical advisor. We hired him and he accepted the job last week. He'll work 20 hours a week for Plymouth Better Buildings, and the other 20 hours a week he serves as an energy services solutions manager or something to that effect for the Plymouth Energy Initiative. So he's doing work that'll really complement what he's already doing. He has an extensive background in building science and is certified as a building professional and really knows his stuff, and will serve as kind of the project manager for homeowners and business owners as they move through this process, and provide some quality assurance and some testing out after the work has been done. So this is a lot of information all at once, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions from Madeline?
I have one at the bottom. Is that your current email address?
My current email address, that's the best one, mmcElhaney@nhcdfa.org. And if you have comments about this draft, if there are any specific line items that you want me to address, feel free to email me, or you can give me a call at any point.
What is community tools and equipment?
Community tools and equipment would pay for things like, let's see, energy auditors sometimes use a blower door test or a thermal imaging camera, and those tools can cost thousands of dollars. So if we wanted to use some of that money to buy a blower door that we could maybe then house at Rand's and put in the circulation of rental tools, so that someone could show their auditor certification card and then rent that tool rather than having to buy it themselves. There's also money in that budget if we wanted to use money to pay for energy auditing software, or even smaller things. If we wanted to have some things on hand at the local library, we could do that. And I tried to be a little vague on some of these so that we weren't set in stone, and that if as we moved forward in this project, someone said, oh, it would be really great if we had whatever, and then we could pull it from one of these line items.
Do you have visibility to Berlin and Nashua's education budgets?
Yeah, and we've been meeting as a team over the phone twice a week and then in person at least once a month. Our meeting tomorrow is specifically to go over these drafts. We'll be looking for any similarities so that if there's opportunities for bulk purchasing and getting a discount, or if one town's buying something that another town might be able to borrow, we can get the most bang for our buck.
So you haven't done that yet?
No. This is due to the Office of Energy and Planning by March 1st.
What was Greg's last name? Project manager?
Craig
Chris?
Cadger,
Craig.
Cadieux. He doesn't have an official start date yet, but it should be, he should be up and running by March.
Any questions, Charlie? Does anyone in the public have any questions for Madeline? Yes.
John Kelly. I was just wondering, we have two figures here. One is miscellaneous for $42,000, which seems rather high under miscellaneous, where they were able to break down membership fees for $690. I know Internal Revenue probably would look twice under that column miscellaneous if you put $42,000 on, or $20,000 on the tax return. It might be a little suspicious. Okay? Usually they make you break it down a little bit more than that. The second thing is, what is this going to cost the town of Plymouth?
I don't believe it's costing the town of Plymouth anything. Any admin fees for overseeing this money would be taken out of the $200,000 and actually would come out of that miscellaneous line item. Community Development Finance Authority is proposing that in exchange for doing the paperwork of overseeing this money, we would charge 5% of whatever money is spent.
And the other, I don't see the salary of this particular person that you said you just hired.
I actually don't know his salary.
How do you do that with this?
That's not coming out of this budget. That's coming out of the overall budget that was the $10 million grant that the state of New Hampshire got.
Could a copy of that total budget for the town of Plymouth be available to the people of Plymouth?
Sure.
Okay. Because I had heard that the administrative costs could range up within 80% of whatever we get for money, but that's just a rumor.
I'd be happy to make that available.
Okay.
Well, thank you for taking the time to listen, and I'm available for questions, or if anybody wants to do a project in their own home or business, I'd love to have some company.
Have you had any people coming in so far? And
Yeah, I have, let's see, 3 business or commercial projects underway. And with those 3 projects, we're working closely with the Retail Merchants Association and with the Department of Resources and Economic Development, utilizing funding for the energy audits and grants for the energy improvements. I have 1 other commercial project that I'll be talking about tomorrow. And then I have 5, 6, 7. By the end of the week, I should have 7 residential projects underway.
very good.
Madeline did appear in front of the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce Board last month to brief them on this initiative, so that inroad's also been made.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Moving on, we have no purchase orders. Committee reports. Charlie?
The library had their opening on Sunday, yesterday. I wasn't able to make it, but
That was
you were.
the library is very impressive. I guess yesterday was the kind of a sneak peek, and today was the official opening of at least the main level of the library, and it is very impressive. If anyone wants to go and take a look, it's a place that you really want to sit down in one of their very comfy chairs and read a book or just look out the window. It's just a beautiful, beautiful building. Ray, have you?
Yes, on the Plymouth Regional Chamber of Commerce, wanted to at least set the stage. It hasn't been firmed up specifically, but their annual meeting is either going to be the 4th or the 5th of May. And one of the things that they're going to be focusing on between now and then is the potential candidates from our community that perhaps should be recognized for the Hobart Award. So you'll be seeing information out in the public framework in the very near future, seeking input from that.
Good. We have no new business, no other or unfinished business. Is there any public comment? We have no non-public, so there being nothing further, have I a motion? Yes, Mr.
Is that just a regular general public comment?
Yes.
I was listening to or watching TV the other night, or maybe it was in the Sunday paper, and they said that the NFL was going to lose their health insurance. So that, and they're talking about COBRA as far as the players being able to get a COBRA at the very if the health insurance was discontinued. And I was just thinking that if a large organization like NFL could drop the health insurance for their members, then I would assume that maybe the town of Plymouth could at least make some kind of an adjustment on their health insurance, which is a large portion of the benefits for the schools and the municipal workers. Just a thought. The other is I was running through. I'm dangerous when I get retired. Because, I was going through the network the other day, and there's quite an article about New Hampton Fire Safety Complex, Fire and Police Safety Complex. Number one, their population, total population is 2,185 people. That is year-round residents. In the summertime, they range somewhere between 15 and 20,000 people. Their board is run between Meredith and also Bristol, which is a lot more than what Plymouth does. And their quotes on their fire station, on their safety complex, not a fire station, it ranges anywhere between the highest one was 3,800,000, and the lowest one was around 2,132,000. My question is how can they go by on a little over $2 million with the same amount of population and a bigger land service than what Plymouth has? I would just like to bring that to the attention and my own curiosity.
I've actually been at the New Hampton website as well. This came up as a question by another citizen, and while I don't have all of the details on their project, what I do see is a much smaller fire and police force. And they are also building a wooden frame building. They are not putting up brick and block building that's designed to last for as many years and to basically serve full-time police and fire departments. I mean, it's comparing apples to oranges. They're very different kinds of projects and very different kinds of buildings.
Okay. That leads me into the question is why do we need such a elaborate building, and why do we need such a big force? Because they have the same number of people, and in fact in the summertime they have 3 times the people that we have. That sort of leads into that question of saying, why do we need that many people in that big a building? I'm not against it. I'm only asking. I have, about 3 years ago, I did a lot of extension research in regards to Holderness, Hebron. I know they're smaller, and some of the other time, Meredith, and they all were ranging between and some of these were safety complexes, and they range between $2 and $3 million. Just, and as far as the length of time it lasts, I can show you some of the older buildings in Plymouth that is probably over 200 years old, and they have a wood structure. Now, the last, and I'll sit down, the last is, as I was eating supper in the old world or dinner in the new world, I was watching TV, and they were saying that Bath, New Hampshire has just received recognition as one of the 2 best schools in the nation as far as academic achievement is concerned. And I was just thinking that I'd like to look up their budget and their school meeting and their school board and see. I went to both school board meetings, and they said, people come to Plymouth because we've got one of the best schools in any part of this area. And my question is, when are we going to get? There's only 2 schools in New Hampshire that have got this award. So Bath is one, and I wonder when Plymouth is going to get their award.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Will adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by Darrell, seconded by Charlie, that we adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.